Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Will Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam? I'm Ollie Davis. This is Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review of last night's Raw, where WWE, I feel, finally entered SummerSlam mode. We're on the road, or the promenade, the beach walk bit, the broad
beach walk is where I would go with, yeah.
The sun under the boardwalk.
We don't really have
to
those
SummerSlam.
Here. We don't really have those in the UK though.
So this was sort of a show-long storyline where Paul Heyman and Brock were backstage, and Brock was refusing to come out. And Kurt Angle even said to Paul Heyman, "Look," this bit was weird. This bit was quite contrived. Yeah, you've got a deal with Brock Lesnar. You're negotiating on Brock's behalf to get better deals elsewhere with UFC, whatnot. But you've also got an agreement, a contract with WWE. And if you don't get Brock to come out, I'm going to fire you, Paul.
Yes.
Which is, Dave Meltzer pointed out, that is like a very big conflict of interests.
Yeah, I think the way it works is that Lesnar is not signed to WWE. He's signed to Paul Heyman Industries, but Paul is contracted to WWE, so they could fire Paul. But then would that mean they'd lose Lesnar as well? Because surely Lesnar's also.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of the lines where they're like, we've got to somehow put a bit some more stakes for Paul to get Brock to come out. How are we going to do this? And then someone goes, we could do this. And, yeah, okay, let's go with that. Let's not think about it anymore. I'm sure it will hold up logically. Our viewers are idiots anyway. They don't think about this stuff that much. But we do. And, yeah, it was a bit of a sort of a plot hole that you could spear someone through.
And claim yourself to be the uncrowned plot hole champion.
So this created a dynamic where Paul is now trying to make a very flippant Brock Lesnar come out to address the crowd, and they even sent Roman Reigns home. Stephanie McMahon called up
she called up Kurt and she called Baron, and Baron passed the phone across to Kurt to say, look, I'm worried about the SummerSlam main event, because if Lesnar goes out, Roman's going to get involved, and that could jeopardize it, so we want to send Roman home so Brock can just come out in peace. Maybe as another way to try and entice Lesnar out. But Lesnar was just sat there reading various different magazines.
Wasn't it only one magazine?
He was reading a Huntsman magazine.
No, I've got it here for
have
you. I've got a photo of it. It was called The Backwoodsman. Now, I have gone on to the Backwoodsman magazine's website. It is described as the magazine for the 21st century frontiersman.
Cool. Frontiersmen, aren't they?
I believe they're like adventurers, kind of
Yeah.
hunting, exploring the wild, which Brock... I have no doubt that's Brock's actual magazine.
Oh, 100%, yeah. He has a subscription to it, yeah.
Yeah, and he of course the WrestleTalk magazine was just to the side that he would pick up and read afterwards.
Yeah.
Or maybe inside that he's got the WrestleTalk magazine.
I think I was thinking of something different, because I could have sworn there was a Louis Theroux weird weekend where he spent time with some people, but they were stockpiling things. Like
a doomsday prepper.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was that extreme. This was very much a nature-based thing.
Absolutely.
So that's what he was reading.
Yep, cool. So he was reading his magazines and not going. He even had a line that really made me laugh at one point when Heyman asked him, "Are you not watching the show?" And Brock stood up and said, "No, I'm not watching the show. Why would I?" And I was like, "That's a fair question, Brock. Honestly, God, it's a fair question." Yet here we are.
Yeah, it's quite existential when you really think about it. Why am I watching this show? Why do I have this job? What am I doing here? So Dave Meltzer also spoke about that. That's probably a shoot. So Lesnar has been Lesnar, and as amazingly just self-absorbed as he is, in the nicest possible way. Why would he have to watch the whole show?
Absolutely, he's not watching it. It's like when they sometimes on commentary they'll say and Shawn Michaels will be at home watching this on the WWE Network. I was like, no, he's not.
He might be. Mick Foley does. He always watches. But Brock's character wouldn't suit himself to being at home watching. I wonder what Mojo Rawley and Bobby Roode are going to get up to this week.
It might be one of the commenters that we've got there going, "I know it's stupid, and Roman's rubbish."
Yeah, he's just leading that hate campaign. No, apparently, even in the UFC, Brock, and they have like 4 or 5 hour long events, way longer, needlessly longer than big WWE shows. And he'll get friends to phone him when the fight that he wants to watch is on, and then he'll turn it on. As soon as it's over, turn it off.
Because he's got reading to do, man.
He's got hunting to do.
He's got farming to do.
He's got Sable to be married to.
There are trees. Those trees are not going to chop themselves down, mate.
No.
Those deer are not going to shoot themselves.
What does he do with his time?
Shoot deer and chop down trees and be a frontiersman.
But that's a lot of just waiting around and just... It must be very meditative.
Oh, probably is, yeah. Wow. He's a quiet man. That's why he's always got those farmer's tans when he comes back from WWE. Because he's not tanning himself to get a WWE look.
Well, so there's the tan, and then there's Brock's size. He's noticeably smaller, I thought.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it's just curious how that size difference has come when he's been announced for a drug testing entry in USADA.
I feel like Ollie Davis is doing some speculating.
Hey, I'm just pointing out 2 things. Completely separate things. One of the things, my observation, Brock Lesnar looks a little bit smaller than the last time I saw him at WrestleMania time. And another completely separate thing to that, Brock Lesnar has just re-entered USADA's testing pool for re-entry into the UFC to prove that he isn't on any performance-enhancing drugs like he failed a test for last year. That's all I'm saying. I'm just pointing out those 2 things happened in the same 2 weeks.
So
there's no connection there.
So Lesnar was refusing to go out to the ring.
Yes.
Like Heyman came out at the start of the show because Roman came out and kind of promo at the start of the show, not really saying a lot. And then Heyman came out and he didn't really say a lot either. But he did.
I disagree. I thought Reigns had a good line.
Did he? What line did he say?
He said, "I'm not sending Brock back to the UFC as the Beast. I'm sending him back as Roman Reigns'
Yeah, that's
said a naughty word.
Roman's go-to thing, though, isn't it? He kept doing that with Cena. He did it with Lashley. It's a go-to. That doesn't pop me as much as it wants.
It's been a while. It got me into it. I was like, ooh, and I thought it's Miami crowd. I don't know how this works, but that's The Rock's sort of home base, and Roman Reigns.
Well, he's from Pensacola, which which is in Florida.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that probably he's nearby. And I felt like the crowd initially were against Reigns, but even in this segment, they started cheering for him against Brock.
And he was over in the final segment. Like the idea of the final segment was to make you chant, "We want Roman." Yeah. And they certainly were. They weren't chanting for Strowman to cash in. They were chanting for Roman Reigns. It's almost worked, you could say. That's 2 weeks on the bounce now. Yeah. The crowd have been super into him.
So I thought that the booking of the main event, and good grief, have we needed a main event on Raw for 4 months now? But it's finally here. And I think for what they're trying to do, which is get Roman Reigns over and create a match you want to see at SummerSlam. This was flawless booking for me.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And this is like humble pie, yum yum yum. Last week we said we have no interest in seeing Lesnar and Reigns. Just get it out the way. Now I want to see the match off there. So can they sustain this for 3 more weeks?
I can't say I'm as interested in seeing it off the back of this, but I did think it was a very, very good segment.
Good throughout the show.
Throughout the show, I thought it worked really well, and I thought they did a really good job of making the crowd not want to cheer Lesnar, and they certainly did that because like Roman cuts his promo, and then Heyman comes out and he says that Brock is here tonight, but he will come out when or if he chooses to do so. So you're already planting those seeds that he may not want to come out. And then throughout the night, I thought Heyman was awesome in this show.
Yeah.
He was really great at being like, at first he was there as the usual Paul Heyman that we see, but as the show went on and he was getting more frustrated with Lesnar because Lesnar he became more like pleading, like
especially with Paul's job now on the line.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was like begging Brock to go out. And there was at one point when Brock stood up and he was like, "Oh, brilliant, this is great." And then Brock just completely like wiped him out, and it was like, "No, I'm not going out there." And Heyman was like, "Oh no." And then we came out at the end and it was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I am the advocate." Like, it was like
tie was loosened.
Yeah, it was just doing a dejected version of his entrance, and he was there, and Angle was just about to fire him, and he got down on his knees and he was begging Angle not to. As soon as Lesnar's music hits, Paul stood up, grin on his face, going like, I knew he'd come out.
Yeah.
My friend is here.
It was masterful.
It really was.
Yeah, there were about 3 backstage segments throughout the night of Brock and Paul backstage, and Brock would tell him to go and get him a medium well done
I was going to say,
steak.
this is where I feel the crowd really turned on him, because what a heel. He asked for a medium well steak, along with a boiled potato and steamed broccoli, the ultimate heel.
Funnily enough, this was a joke that didn't make it into the Raw review. Broccoli is me and Brock's. That's like our Bradgelina name. Broccoli. I was looking at broccoli in the script for ages and I was going, there's something there. What is it?
What is it?
Why have I not thought of this? But it didn't
broccoli.
make the cut.
Lovely stuff. But yeah, what a heel.
Yes.
Medium well.
Yeah, and
Crikey.
then when Paul finally reveals, hey, my job's on the line, with friends and everything, Brock picks him up by the scruff of the tie and
lapels.
We're not friends.
Go
out there and do your job.
I don't work for you. You work for me.
And I don't know how you felt, but even though Paul Heyman is this deplorable character and he's always smarmy and trying to get his way out of stuff, here I was like, no, not Paul.
There was also a wonderful bit as well, and he sort of roughed him up because he's grabbed him by his lapels, and then Heyman's sort of backing off, and then Brock's almost puts his hands up and he's like, oh God, not again. And he's like, no, just want to straighten out your seat.
Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. I actually thought Lesnar was really good on this show as well in the bits that he had to do.
Yes, yeah.
He looked like he was trying.
Yeah. Definitely, that's a very good point. He looked like he cared.
And considering all he had to do was sit there and read the magazine that he probably would have been reading anyway, he looked like he was genuinely into everything they were doing today.
Who knows if this was a storyline? Maybe this was all just a shoot. Brock didn't actually want to come out. I thought his best performance, when we'll get to it in a sec, is when he goes up to Kurt and he's like, you got a problem with me?
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
I know. The genuine,
you done effed up.
You done effed up now. It genuinely felt like, and this is such a cliched line, the mood changed. When Lesnar came out, and this is why Lesnar's so good, and it's actually almost why we should have been missing him rather than just sort of being annoyed that he's not there.
Yeah.
We should have really been missing this presence that he brings. And when he just walked up to Angle and was just like, you got a problem with me, I was like, uh-oh. Something is going to go down. And then he just hoisted Angle up and gave him a big old F5 and laid him out. And I was like, good grief. And then when he stood up to Corbin, and Corbin was like, nope, I'm just going to step out this ring now.
See you later.
See you later. I don't want to crumple up this waistcoat that I've got on.
He wrestled the whole match in it. I don't think he cares about crumpling his clothes.
I thought Lesnar was so cool.
Yeah, so for all the people who say, no, the Universal Champion should be there every week and stuff, and I don't agree with that, but I don't agree with Brock being away for this long as he has done either. But there is, there is a definite argument, and I definitely subscribe to it, which is don't overexpose people like Brock. That's why they feel so special. And we were saying, when Brock turns up, it's going to feel like a big deal just because he hasn't been around for so long. And he totally did. And they really capitalized on it.
Yeah.
So, Paul Heyman was trying to get his job back. He was begging Kurt. I thought Kurt's promo as well. He is a terrible Universal Champion.
Yeah, and
I thought that was really good.
And I love how Heyman turned that to put himself over and be like, oh, I agree with you, Kurt.
Yeah.
And he was like, Brock Lesnar doesn't respect you, but I do.
Yeah, I've been trying to make him like you.
That's great. It's like, I also think he's a terrible Universal Champion.
But this was a really well-structured segment in that when Kurt said that, I was like, yeah, you're right. He isn't a good champion. I'm really ticked off at Brock. And then Brock comes out. He hits the F5 on Kurt, and Paul's got this big smile. But then Brock looks at Paul and grabs him by the face and just shoves him down.
And Heyman's screaming off. He's not on mic going I can't breathe. Brock, I can't breathe.
Yeah. And I just my heart broke a bit. And I genuinely had bad guy heat from me against Brock after this.
Yeah.
Because I would say that Brock is a deplorable character. He's a badass, but he's a guy that we love to hate. But his relationship with Paul, in that it's so enduring, he'll go out and save Paul from bits. He will protect him. He does look out for him in a way. That really is the only shred of humanity or likability that Brock has as a character. And to just see him throw Heyman down on the ground like that. The only real friend that he has made me like, this guy's... What a nasty man. What a nasty man Brock is. Roman, I genuinely want you to come out here and punch Brock in the face, please. So, and that's
do
what
that first, though.
Yeah, you got to cock it, mate. So, like, kudos to WWE for actually making me want to see Roman versus Brock and me be on Roman's side. And so, to answer the question that we posed quite a long time ago,
15 minutes ago.
Well, this was all context. This was part of the argument. Will Paul turn on Brock to side with Roman at SummerSlam?
But
because where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Now, if Paul and Brock are split up, it would be weird for Paul to suddenly be this cowering person next week doing Brock's intros. Like, how do you do the next 3 weeks of build?
I almost feel like this. It didn't really feel like a split. But perhaps I could still see Paul coming out with Brock at SummerSlam, just being like very cautious, being alongside him, and maybe not so much the cowering side of things. Or maybe like Heyman tries to turn this around and be like, hey, I'm his only friend. And if he's going to do that to me, what's he going to do to you at SummerSlam? Maybe push it down that line that line down there. But to the question of, is Heyman going to turn on Brock and side with Roman at SummerSlam? The question would be, does Roman need Heyman? And because we've always said, that'd be a really good pairing if Roman was a heel. But clearly the direction is never going to be for Roman to be a heel. So is Paul with him as a babyface really a tandem that we need?
Yeah, that's and like the dynamic of the match can't really. There's no way you can turn Reigns heel. I can't figure out how you do that double turn now.
No, and sending Lesnar out, because this is likely going to be Lesnar's last... No, granted, we said that at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, but likely, in big air quotes for podcast listeners, take a drink, this could be his last appearance for WWE at SummerSlam. So this will be Lesnar on his way out. With Paul turning, that does protect Brock somewhat, and I imagine he probably wants to be slightly protected in his loss, because he is heading back to, real fighting and a real sport. So that
non-predetermined.
Okay, whatever. So perhaps that's what Brock wants. That he wants that Heyman turn in there to do that. But again, I don't really want to go to a Heyman Roman partnership as baby faces.
Well, here is where you might be getting hung up, because who said that he has to side with Roman Reigns?
And just you end the partnership there, and Heyman just screws him and then walks off into the sunset.
There's a big old monster with a briefcase somewhere.
But I don't want to see Heyman with Braun either.
So, I don't either, but I can see WWE turning Braun into a mega heel with Paul Heyman as the mouthpiece.
Can I correct you
So
there?
you have Reigns and Braun for WrestleMania.
I'm just going to slightly correct you there. I can see WWE looking at Braun and being like, cool, so you're now our new Brock Lesnar.
Yep, that as well.
We just basically want to book you the same way we booked Brock Lesnar. You're no longer Braun Strowman. You're Brock Strowman.
Like when Roman Reigns was Roman Cena.
Yes, exactly.
John Reigns.
Exactly. You're just going to be our avatar for Brock Lesnar now. Put him in shorts, get him a tattoo down his front. And so you're just going to be our new Brock Lesnar. And Paul Heyman's going to introduce you the exact same way, do all the same matches, do loads of German suplexes. I almost remember when they start giving Big Show the yes chant, give him the Suplex City chant, just make him a new avatar for him.
Well, that sounds awful. I don't know why this popped into my head. I don't know how it would work either. But a Paul Heyman, Dean Ambrose? Ambrose turning heel in a return against Reigns?
I'll be honest, the way that they're booking this show at the moment, in the Seth storyline, it almost feels like we're working our way up for a Dean return, perhaps at SummerSlam or perhaps in the lead up to SummerSlam.
Yeah, but Paul and Brock have history of Heyman siding with other people. Of course, there's the Big Show turn.
Which was so ill-timed.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I personally think they'll have Heyman be the cowering advocate for the next 3 weeks, and then he somehow costs Brock the match.
Yes.
But I don't know how that satisfyingly plays into something where you give Paul Heyman all the babyface redemption rather than Roman Reigns.
Yeah, or as you said, they just put him with Braun, and because I do feel like we are heading towards Roman v Braun at WrestleMania, where Roman finally wins the belt. Although, I mean, my final note from this show, before we do get into the final Raw review, because we do need to move on here, is that I did think Braun was an idiot.
For not cashing in, yeah.
Braun said when he won the belt, as soon as Lesnar shows up, I'm cashing this in. Where were you then?
Owens should have stolen the briefcase.
Yeah, earlier in the night, so he couldn't do it.
Completely stolen.
But he got the briefcase back, didn't he? Because he threw it to Sunil Singh. So he had the briefcase, and he could have done it.
Yeah, plot hole. It's time for some Pledgehammer Patreon shout-outs to all those wonderful people of the SWAF Nation who have donated $25 a month or more. And if you do so, you get a wrestling nickname and a Hall of Fame induction ring. See, get it? For podcast listeners, that's a bell noise or a ring. It's very clever. And you get the Ramble Club podcast, our top 5 matches of the month for July.
Which is going to be released at the end of this week.
Yes.
Got lots of really good... It was a tough month for matches this.
Slammiversary, the G1.
Absolutely.
All the NXT stuff.
2 killer NXT matches we've had.
So who made it? You'll have to subscribe and find out. And also the what's the other thing? WrestleRamble Extra.
WrestleRamble Extra, which is going to be SummerSlam 2000 for our August review, won by 3%, as we revealed in today's news. Obviously, not only do you get all of that with Ramble Club, where we talk about our top 5 matches of the month, we also dive into the book Big Apple Takedown, which is a WWE novel about wrestlers as secret agents, and it was a doozy of a chapter we read.
I feel like its business has picked up.
Oh, it really is.
Book. Really left on a cliffhanger.
It's really starting to get in. The plot is starting to thicken up.
Because it's not just Triple H anymore.
Or Vince.
Yeah.
Now they're all starting to interact with each other.
Now it's fun.
Getting good. And there are some bizarre phrases in there.
But at the moment, we've got our $25 or more pledge hammers. So thank you. You sold out. Jay Sellers.
Juan de Dios Infinite Gauntlet.
Let's have a drink, Christopher Travis Merriman.
Rise above, Will Hate.
Asuka's future husband and EOF one-man wrecking crew, Skin Trade.
Infinite Crisis, Chris Jenkins.
Stay hyped, Kyle Rowley.
Joe the Biddly Bing Bong Business Boy Kinch.
It's a great name. Have a cuppa T. Lee.
I wanna be like you, Chris Louis.
Tremendous Turquoise Hexagon, Old Son. ...
Dive, Dylan Kashenta.
Adam and the Anthony Barragon.
They drew first blood, not me, Grace Rambo.
And Shim Agangot, Zachary Robert Crowley Barros. That's too many names. Shimmy Gangot, Zachary Robert Crowley Barros.
Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
Raw kicked off with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman backstage just to prove that they were there. Make sure to stay till the end of the show, folks. I really want to see the ratings for this, the hour-by-hour breakdown. Because Brock is a proven ratings draw. So if people know he's there and they draw out him actually showing up until the end of the show, I think that's a really effective way to do it. But then we got the Roman Reigns promo that we've already talked about. Brock Lesnar reading the frontiersman in the waiting room. It looked like a waiting room, didn't it? He was waiting for an appointment. And then we got...
It's not as cool as Roman's locker room we got to see later on.
Yeah, which is just grids and stuff behind him, fences.
Oh no, it was a curtain that was behind him that was essentially blocking off the rest of the locker room.
And then for the next 4 hours of the show, we got Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor.
Oh really? Did you not like this?
I thought it was good. It was good.
I really enjoyed
it. It went
this.
a long time.
No, but I liked that.
It picked up at the end.
Yeah.
Picked up at the end.
Actually, I really enjoyed this. It went through 2 commercial breaks. I thought it was good action. Oh, they slowed down for the ad break spots. We got the quite rare red Balor this time. He came out with his red jacket. It's hilarious. There was a moment.
Blue Balor is the bluer.
Blue is one of my favourite ones. Yeah, he has disappeared into the ether, like the demon Finn Balor. One of my favourite moments of this match though was when Balor started making his comeback, and Coachman said, "This is where Balor needs to pick up speed." Like he's already doing that, mate. You wanted to say that when he was being worked over.
Is Coachman watching the 5-minute delay feed? Just in case anyone swears. I put one commercial break because the first one was technically Balor coming out Then they had a break.
I thought they actually had a break during the match as well.
They did, yeah. So
I thought they had 2 during the break.
Oh, really?
I thought they did.
I only counted 1.
I might have been mistaken on that.
Wrong. So, yeah, there was a good deep 6 near fall, which that never wins that move. Always feels like it could do, though.
That's because he puts the extra revolutions on it. That's what it is. It's like when
Corbin's
Sami Zayn takes it and he spins
Styles as well.
Spins 20 more times than anyone else. Balor misses the coup de grace and Corbin hit the end of days out of nowhere for the win. Really good match. I thought it made Corbin look awesome. I thought it made him look really, really good. And then, after the match, he just went back and beat up Balor again.
Yeah, so it made Baron look good. But then it's just, I'm a bit sick of the 50-50 booking.
Oh, yeah, that's an issue.
They had a match just 8 days ago at Extreme Rules, and Balor won.
Yeah.
By a bit of a roll-up at the end.
It's more than 8 days ago, though.
Was Extreme Rules 2 weeks ago?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, it all blends into one never-ending... God, thank God there's no dual two pay-per-views a month anymore.
I know, right?
So yeah, it was a fine match, but just in the overall scheme of things, it left me a bit uninspired.
It's the match they probably should have done at Extreme Rules.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, just have a definitive winner, and we can move past this. I've got no interest in Balor and Corbin anymore.
No,
as fun as this match ended up becoming.
Yeah,
which isn't crazy fun. It was just fun.
Yes, agreed.
Then we got the Kurt Angle Paul Heyman bit where Kurt says, "I might terminate your contract." Then we got a recap of Stephanie creating women.
It's the historic announcement from last week. Historic announcement. As me and Viper were saying in our WOS wrestling interviews, it's the first time any company has ever put on a pay-per-view like this. The first.
In WWE.
Well, with that caveat.
The first brand in WWE. Then we got to continue that women's segue through. Alicia Fox taking on Natalya.
Yes.
But it's not about that. It's about the people at ringside. Ronda Rousey in Natalya's corner, Alexa Bliss in Fox's.
Absolutely. So we got backstage and Alicia Fox is working out, and Alexa walks up and says that Mickie James is injured, which explains why Alicia Fox is in this position, because she wouldn't have been otherwise. It would have been Mickie James in this role.
I was like, so who are we going to choose? Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox. Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox.
God, we can't have Dana Brooke win on TV, so I guess it's got to be Foxy making her return that she did last week. That was weird, though, because the main notes I had of this, aside from the Ronda Rousey stuff, is that Bliss, as the heel, called, because she's trying to butter up Alicia Fox. She's trying to butter up. She's like, you were a real trailblazer for the women's division. And you as the viewer meant to go like, well, no, she wasn't, because she's a bit rubbish. And she was during that really awful period of women's not wrestling in WWE. So you can't really say that she's a trailblazer. But it's fine, because Alexa Bliss is their heel, and she's just saying that to butter her up. And I thought, that's fine. Michael Cole then said it during the match. He said, Alicia Fox is a real trailblazer for the women's division. I was like, was she? When did this become a thing?
I never thought that Bliss was saying that to get a heel reaction. I thought she meant that in the WWE mindset of sincerely.
I thought it was just a heel thing trying to butter her up and get her on her side.
No,
God, that's so weird.
In WWE's mindset, Alicia Fox has reached legend status because she's been there for like a decade.
Yeah, she's been there for a long old time.
But not in a good Kofi Kingston decade. I can't believe Kofi Kingston's been there for a decade kind of way. It's a, wow, you've actually been wrestling for 10 years and you're still Alicia Fox.
It's almost like, wow, you were wrestling 10 years ago and you're still here because there were 25 like you that have just been and gone.
Yeah.
The WWE went through a period where they were just cycling through women on the roster that they'd last 2 months, throw the toys out, get the new toys in. They'd last another 2 months, get the new toys in, throw the old toys out. But Alicia Fox, she's endured. It's her and Natty have endured.
Yeah. Well, but Natalya's very good.
Well, Natalya's great. That's why she's endured.
Alicia Fox has a Northern Light suplex.
That is very good.
And she screams well. So, yeah, I think they're just pushing this for the women's narrative.
Yeah. Very much so.
It would have worked a lot better if it was Mickie James, because that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely, it would have worked so much better. And perhaps those lines were scripted when it was Mickie James before she was injured, and Alicia Fox went into her
Bliss
place.
wouldn't have to. They wouldn't have to have a thing to set up why Bliss and James are out there.
No, but
they've never done that in the past.
No, but you still would have said the "You are a trailblazer" line, and it was already in the script. Why take it out? It's there. We've printed it on paper now.
Well, I think it's good they changed things just about half an hour before the show. Just use that one. Use that script.
Or that she said it, and they were like, "Oh, I thought you took that out of the script when it was changed." Yeah. Oh, sorry, man.
Are you working on version 96? We're on version 98 now. It's been 5 minutes since version 96. So Natalya comes out, and then this was Ronda Rousey's official return. Because all the other times in recent weeks she's been in the crowd and she's interfered that way. But this was Ronda's suspension finally being up. In one of those plot points that when they do the recap package at SummerSlam, you'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot she was suspended. Forgot that part of the storyline. That was just to fill time. Oh, sorry, your laptop nearly fell.
It did.
And
nearly broke it for a second time.
So Natalya comes out, her music's playing, Natalya's match. Then she smiles, her music stops, Ronda Rousey's music comes in, Ronda Rousey comes out, smiles, poses, and then she gets all the applause as they walk down the ring.
In all fairness, the crowd did pop louder for Rousey than they did.
Of course they did. Yeah. And I get why they did it. But it just makes Natalya look stupid.
So are we...
I'm hoping this plays into Natty's eventual heel turn on her.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Natty costs Ronda at SummerSlam.
Yep.
And then you build to Ronda versus Natty at whatever the September pay-per-view is. And then you do Ronda winning the title from Bliss at Evolution.
Oh, that's a great shout.
Because that's like Evolution. They want to have like a big news story behind it because it's their first ever all-women pay-per-view. What better headline than Ronda Rousey wins the belt?
Yeah. That's because in my head I was like, hold off till WrestleMania. But you're totally right.
No, yeah, because you want to then build to Rousey versus Charlotte at WrestleMania in the main event.
SmackDown versus Raw champions. Yeah. Well, that's You've won.
Could be.
You won the booking
there.
Won. So this is a match, and Fox goes for Ronda on the outside, which distracts the referee, and Bliss clocks Natalya from the outside, and that's enough for Alicia to pick up the win.
Yes.
And then there's a bit of scuffles afterwards. Ronda beats up Fox and Bliss, looks awesome, like they push her away and she goes after them again. But then the numbers overwhelmed Ronda, and Fox got the last laugh by throwing her into the barricade.
Which sets up their match for next week. Although what I will say about this is that, Ronda went after Bliss, but Foxy got in the way, and then she gets in the ring and she gives Foxy the big judo slam, which Alicia just then no-sold because she was outside the ring throwing her into the barricade. And I was like, how have you been here for 12 years?
I thought I didn't care for Fox to get any kind of upper hand on Ronda here.
It's just to set up the match for next week, where Ronda can just absolutely destroy her in seconds. It will just be charge, flip her over, armbar, and that'll be it. So crowd will pop massive for it, and I can't wait.
Kurt booked that. That's her first ever match on Raw.
Yeah.
Set to be next week. Do you remember what happened at WrestleMania? No, it was Royal Rumble. No, it was WrestleMania, sorry. When Alicia Fox got in a drunken argument with Ronda Rousey's husband.
It made sense because when I was Googling earlier, Ronda Rousey, Alicia Fox to find images for the news, that's all the stories that came up, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Then we got Paul and Brock backstage. Then we got Kurt announcing that Ronda's first match will take place next week.
The crowd booed it as well because they
wanted it now.
They wanted it now, and it's going to be next week in Miami.
But they had plenty more.
Because it's not going to be in Miami, which was where they were tonight.
They had plenty more to boo next, though, because Elias is out there. And he throws a bit of shade at Bobby Lashley, a bit of shade at The Rock, because, of course, it's Miami.
A bit of shade at Pitbull.
Yeah. Not Pitbull.
Not Pitbull?
Not upstanding member of the community, Pitbull. How does he get so many attractive
I've written here, he calls out Pitbull and The Rock and starts a feud with Bobby Lashley. We joked last week that this is what Bobby was going to be doing. And yet here we are, 7 days later, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing Bobby Lashley versus Elias at SummerSlam.
Yeah. And
I think this was really going to annoy you, this segment.
Yeah, it does. It did.
Yeah, it did. I thought I'll let you run with this one then, because I figured this was really going to wind you up.
Okay, so so Elias is out there. He mentions The Rock. That's of course fueling this speculation that it's going to be The Rock versus Elias, at least in some kind of sing-off skit at WrestleMania, or maybe they do. Isn't there like an anniversary of SmackDown coming up?
Yes,
that could be another place to do it.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is. It might be SmackDown 1000 or something like that.
And then the announcers are putting over how Lashley interrupted Elias last week. That's what Elias is annoyed about. And
loads of people interrupted
I know. And then Bobby Lashley comes out, and Michael Cole just goes on commentary. Oh, not again! Like, Whose side are you on, Michael Cole? You're the babyface announcer.
But he likes Elias.
I
He does
know.
this for every time Elias gets interrupted.
But I hate it more every time. And then Bobby comes down, and Elias is like, I know, you don't want to fight, Elias. You want to sing with Elias. I thought, that's funny. That's like a cute dynamic, because Bobby Lashley has moved past that now. He's kind of getting more to that walking Armageddon thing. He's not there yet, but steps have been made. He had the whole Roman Reigns thing. He main evented the last pay-per-view. He main evented the previous Raw.
Did he main event the pay-per-view?
No.
No, he was in the mid-card because Seth and Dolph.
Of course. But he fought Reigns, which is effectively the main event.
The main event. In WWE's eyes, that was the main event.
Don't derail me like WWE have derailed Bobby Lashley.
Not again.
And Lashley, he's standing there, and he's definitely got people starting to believe in him again. And he's got such a presence. He really is an open goal, and WWE spectacularly keep missing it. And then Bobby picks the mic and goes, I'm a fighter, not a singer. And then I just got dread. I just got this dread overwhelmed me. I had flashbacks of looking into the camera. I love you, my three beautiful sisters. Of the Sami Zayn feud with the awful segments there. And then, because Bobby shouldn't be saying lines like that. He should just be punching Elias in the face, grabbing that guitar and clobbering it over his broken body. But that isn't what happened. Elias started to sing Rockin' Robin, and he only did the verse, and Bobby went straight into a rubbish rendition of Rockin' Robin, which made him look like an absolute dweeb, and he's walking around back to Elias.
Got the words.
And then Elias hits Bobby Lashley in the back with a guitar. So I'm like, well, Bobby Lashley looks lame because he started singing. Why would he sing? He's not reached that point in this iteration of his career where he can do comedy stuff as a badass and get away with it. And then he's also stupid as well as lame because he actually bought in to the fact that Elias might be doing this for fun, just for a good old sing-song. No, of course he was always going to hit you with a guitar. Watch any wrestling show with a guitar on ever. So why, if you had the momentum with Bobby Lashley, you're getting away from the Sami Zayn feud and that awful Renee Young interview that he did and the three beautiful sisters Tosh, and you're starting to put him as in that main event level again. Why do you go back to this lame character?
Man, I'm with you. I thought it was really... my notes here just like a goof, he joined in, and then, like a goof, got blindsided by Elias. But... perhaps to be the WWE mindset, to Pritchard this situation, Lashley won out in the end because he beat him up and sent him packing. So who looked strong at the end of this, really, when you think about it? I thought it was ridiculous. I thought, when he said, I'm not a singer, I'm a fighter, I was like, cool, now he's going to kick over the chair and give him the big delayed vertical suplex and lay him out, or he's going to give him a big old spear, he's going to stand tall and beat Bobby Lashley. And then he started singing, and I was like, oh no. Oh dear. And I was like, okay, I was waiting for the moment that he then hits him in the head with the microphone or does something. But when he got blindsided by the guitar, I was like, you doof. You
idiot.
Absolute dink.
As soon as the tone in which he said, I'm a fighter, not a singer, you're embarrassing me, I'm nervous now. I didn't come out here thinking I'd have to sing. I knew immediately from the first intonation of the tone that this was where it was going.
Yeah, I know, man.
And it killed me.
Yeah, it was bad.
Why? I'm not even a big Bobby Lashley fan. I just don't like to see people's potential wasted.
Well, why would you be a Bobby Lashley fan at this point, in all fairness?
Okay, Kevin Owens and Baron Corbin were backstage next. Corbin's really good in this role, and Kevin Owens is trying to suck up to him.
It said that Baron Corbin is his son's favourite wrestler, which I really liked. And Corbin, my favourite thing about this, Corbin deadpan was like, well, I am here to inspire people.
Yeah.
That was great.
If you go onto WWE.com's photo gallery as well, and WWE.com articles are awfully written in their titles for WWE speak. And it's Kevin Owens, or it's Finn Balor versus Constable Baron Corbin. It just made me laugh. That's
his name. That's how he's introduced now, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's his new thing.
Then we got Jinder Mahal versus Braun Strowman after that little bit of whatever it was last week.
Well,
the crowd are chanting, "Get these hands!"
The key to this, sorry, to go back to the Baron Corbin Kevin Owens segment, is that Owens was buttering up Corbin because he wanted Braun to be sort of banned from the arena because he's like, well, I don't want Braun cashing in because I can't then win the briefcase off him at SummerSlam. And Baron said, like, that's pretty much not my problem. And he walked off, and Kevin Owens was frustrated.
And we're not going to address that anyway.
No, exactly.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, that did lead to Braun Strowman versus Jinder Mahal, which was obviously set up from last week when Jinder was trying to do Shanti. And I'm not
Get these hands.
Not sure if I'm saying that right, I'll be honest with you. Someone will let me know if I wasn't. And this was so Jinder was trying to do that gimmick to him again. Owens snuck out from out of nowhere and grabbed the briefcase. Braun spots him and chases after him. Owens runs away, throws the briefcase to Sunil Singh, who gets run over, and then Braun chases Owens up the ramp, and he gets counted out, so Jinder wins. Now I thought, this is actually quite good. Because the whole gimmick to the SummerSlam match is that Kevin Owens can win the briefcase through any means, but Braun has to pin Owens. If Braun gets DQ'd, if he gets counted out, if he gets disqualified, Owens wins. I thought this was a nice way to set that up.
Yeah, totally agree.
Thumbs up segment for me.
Yeah, it shows how Braun, as powerful and monstrous as he is, he can get sidetracked and he can get zeroed in on, from his rage and stuff, that he'll lose a match because of stupid things. That's how Kevin Owens beat him in the Cell match.
Yeah,
in the cage match at
but then
Extreme
again,
Rules.
Braun didn't care about winning that match, clearly, because he just like, you're the winner, I guess.
Yeah.
And whatever. I mean, so WWE, if there's one thing they can do really well, it's book big men, which I'm sure we're going to see later on in this show in their tag team division.
And Bobby Lashley. Yeah. But that was all good. The only fix would, of course, be Kevin Owens actually running off with the briefcase. Or maybe Sunil just gets it and goes, okay, and runs off.
Which would have sorted out your issues later on in the show.
Then we had Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin. So when Kurt gets the phone call from Stephanie, he's like, ooh, yeah, plot point later on, exposition.
Yeah.
Then we got Mojo Rawley walking into the undercard locker room.
Into the Geeks locker room.
Yeah, so they have different locker rooms based on where they are in the card.
If you're a star, you get your own one. If you're Seth Rollins, you get to hang out with all the other cool people.
Seth Rollins had a little game station bit.
Did he?
Yeah. It showed like Seth Rollins is preparing for his match later on.
Oh yeah, and he put it in. Yes, he had his earphones. That's right. Yes, I remember
and he was
now.
playing a video game, I think. Oh, it looked like it. So in this room, I've written them all down.
It's the Raw Geek Roll Call.
From first appearance to last: Rhino, Heath Slater, The Ascension, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Mike Kanellis.
Oh, what a motley crew of nerds! Like that is main event. Yeah, that is WWE's main event.
Yeah, not the literal
not the main event. The show they put on the network.
And then Mojo walks in because that's where he is as well.
Yep,
and then, I mean, we all saw it coming. Also, in this place in the card is former NXT champion, the man with arguably the best WWE entrance music in recent times, Bobby Roode.
Yeah, and he walks up and so like Mojo walks in, he's like, I've been running through this roster, and I'm like, mate, you've beaten Tyler Breeze twice and No Way Jose about 15 times.
Are they in this room?
Well, they're so geeks, they're not even allowed in the geek locker room.
In the corridor.
Man, can you imagine how sad it must be in that locker room when they all walk in, they all get their gear. Hey, you booked tonight? No, I'm not.
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here, though. Yeah. No, yeah, me too. No, I'm happy to be here too.
People like I look at what Cody's done, and he's had real success. But I love WWE. It's the only place I've ever known. I'll just stay here.
Job security, man. Yeah. You know. Hey, though, I get to be on main event later on today, though. So,
it's a solid job.
It's a solid.
Where
gig,
I'm
man.
always scared that I'm going to be released next Friday. What a life.
What a life. So, yeah, Mojo starts running down all the geeks, and Bobby Roode walks in, he's clapping his hands. He's like, if you got a problem, hey, you got a problem with me? And Mojo says, I did like this from Mojo, though. He was like, what are you going to do? Catchphrase me into a submission?
Mojo's good.
Mojo's great. I like that. And then Roode double legs him and takes him down, and the other geeks stood around him and were like, whoa, fight. Rhino was such a nerd in this segment, he was wearing the Deleter of Worlds t-shirt. Doesn't even have his own merchandise.
Mike Kanellis had a crushing at the Connor's Cure t-shirt on.
Oh, is that what it was?
Because I imagine he doesn't
doesn't
have
have any merchandise
either.
I bet he cannot wait until Maria's back. He's like, I might actually get to do something.
She's training, so
yeah,
be back soon. She had a baby. So how I took the Lashley bit, do you want to take this next part?
Yeah, so this is what I was referring to earlier when talking about big men in the tag team division. So Apollo Crews faced Akam of the Authors of Pain, and the Authors of Pain cut an inset promo that made
the same thing.
they cut an inset promo that was really lame. So lame.
It was just there was words that they would never say.
No, I know.
Like I don't know why this line stood out to me so much, but Akam says, I will not be so courteous next time.
Well, do you know what? I can guarantee you why that line's there. I can almost guarantee it's because Vince is realizing, well, they're the Authors of Pain, so they must be really good writers and know lots of intelligent words. That was Vince's gimmick. Like before Vince McMahon became Mr. McMahon, he used to use big, long words because he was meant to be an intellect. So I guarantee you that's where this is. Like, well, they're writers. They're the Authors of Pain. So it was rubbish. Coach at one point said that Crews always adds a little steak to the sizzle, which is not how that phrase goes. And here's how the match went. Apollo Crews ran wild on Akam. Akam charged into a post, and that was it. He ran into the post, and then Apollo rolled him up, and he won. Clean as a sheet in the middle of the ring, just definitively, Apollo Crews was the better wrestler in this match against the bigger and badder Akam. Authors of Pain are already a complete joke. Like, I mean, this might be pushing it. This is worse booking than Sanity on SmackDown.
Yeah, because at least Sanity
are losing to the New
kind
Day.
of featured and getting matches.
They're losing to the New Day and Jeff Hardy and the Usos. Yeah. They're losing to stars. These lads are losing to Titus Worldwide. This might be Apollo Crews' first win in well over a year. On TV at the very least. This was embarrassing for all involved. I felt so bad for the Authors of Pain. Felt so bad for them.
We used to say, of all the NXT call-ups, Authors of Pain are going to probably be okay because they're big. They're a tag team, so that's against them in Vince McMahon's eyes.
Yeah.
But they're big, so they'll find a use for them. And yeah.
This was bad.
Yeah, but we got a good match next, which was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre.
What a shocker, this was great.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. But it was hard to pay attention to on account of Dolph Ziggler's glorious hair.
I know.
Oh my God.
Someone's been watching the Tanahashi on the G1 and thought, you know what, I can mimic that.
It was delicious. It looked like it would taste of honey.
I know, well, usually he has like the ramen noodle hair. But like this time he's gone, it's straightened out. It looked fantastic.
It looked beautiful.
Yeah.
He looked beautiful. And but the match itself was so good. Like, I stopped paying attention to it. So early on, Drew catches a dive out on the outside and he spine busts Seth onto the barricade, which looked great. And then earlier this is right at the start of the match, Drew had lifted up the ring apron, so it exposes that kind of metal girder that's underneath. And what's that move?
Slingshot.
Slingshot, that's it. And he puts Seth under it and slingshot Seth up in his chest, up into it. And I was like, that's a cool spot. So, ad break, we come back, Drew should be working over Seth. No, Seth's doing another dive on Drew. So that was my only complaint with the match.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because that was a cool spot that I haven't seen for ages, if ever. So make something more of it,
Yeah, but there was some really good stuff in this. Drew did a deadlift powerbomb, which was really awesome. An air raid crash off the second rope. Just really, really
White
great
noise.
stuff. The Finley driver, as we named it.
Whatever that move is.
And then Rollins hit the stomp out of nowhere, but Dolph ran in for the DQ. And then Seth essentially kind of bettered up the numbers game, and he stood tall at the end of this. I thought this was a solid segment, which was then followed up with an even better segment, really, where Seth is doing an interview with Renee Young. And she was saying, like, how do you, the numbers game is always going to get the better of you. He's like, yeah, the numbers game always will get the better of me, but at SummerSlam, I'm getting my title back. And then Drew and Dolph blindsided him and laid him out, proving that the numbers game, he might not be able to overcome the numbers game, which suggests to me that, because I think the Wrestling Observer said that Dean Ambrose is like expecting back sooner rather than later. Then the original report, might have been from PW Insider, said that he was back by September, but Wrestling Observer is saying he might be back earlier.
Yeah.
So he could be back.
Yeah, and this was...
Or that Jason Jordan return that still hasn't happened.
Yes. So it's nothing new, but I really got more than usual that sort of mid-90s HBK Diesel vibe from them this week.
Yeah.
Drew and Dolph.
Was it because of their hair?
Maybe it was, but yeah, it must have been because of the hair, especially the backstage bit afterwards.
Yeah.
But it was all very good. Then we got Roman being thrown out of the building. Kurt comes in when he's watching, do you want to say Netflix?
Well, I was going to say watching the WrestleTalk news,
Yes.
which is the joke that you and I came up with earlier that was better than anything we'd actually written in our notes.
Yeah, so Roman's just watching something on an iPad in his curtain room.
I'd originally written That 70s Show.
And Kurt and Baron come in to tell him Stephanie's news that you've got to be ejected from the building to preserve the SummerSlam main event, and then all these security guys walk in behind them as well. Ooh. And Roman goes to walk out, and then he just punches Baron in the face.
It's cool.
That was cool.
Very cool.
They did a really good job with Roman this week.
Yeah.
Then let's just breeze through this next stuff.
Well, we got
quickly.
a video package for Mr. Perfect to advertise their partnership with Sonic, which was
so good.
Which was great, and because it reminds you of how good Mr. Perfect was. But it was at this point here I suddenly realised, we didn't get an opening package for Nikolai Volkov or Brian Christopher. We didn't get a 10-bell salute. We didn't get anything like that.
There was a RIP graphic.
Was that right at the start?
Right at the start.
I didn't get it on my feed, and a lot of people apparently didn't get it either. Apparently, it was shown before the show started. It was like shown to the live crowd, but not on TV.
No, I got
some
it.
feeds anyway.
Yeah, it was for Volkov and
Brian Christopher. Okay, because apparently there was a whole video package for Volkov.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So then we got the B team coming down for an in-ring interview with Charlie Caruso. They're still celebrating like crazy. It's annoying. I'm a bit past it, but Bo did have a good line where he says, "Everyone knows the B&B team stands for dream," which is great. They say they can beat anyone. Lights cut out. Blah. Deleters of Worlds appear and they have a little back and forth, and then the Revival come out.
Oh, thank God. They came out to save this segment.
Because they've been watching the matches backstage for quite some time.
My new friend, Scott Dawson.
What happened?
So we've got a new podcast sponsor in Beer 52. So if you are a UK listener, beer52.com/ramble, free case of beer. That's genuine as well. You just got to pay for the postage.
Craft beer. Fancy
beer. It is. And I've been a Beer 52 subscriber for a number of years now. And I can
tell.
Thank you very much.
Ollie Pat's tummy.
Thank you very much. But in my last case, that's fine, I've got a bit of a tummy. But in our last case, there was a beer in there that was called Revival. So, I took a picture of it, and I was like, I'm enjoying my Beer 52, and, tagged Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder in there. Scott Dawson, obviously, he liked the photo, didn't he? Because he's a good lad. And then someone commented, I can't remember who it was, but they said, hop guys. And I was like,
nice.
That's a great gag. I wish I'd thought of that. That was really good. And then a few people started saying F the Revival, and Scott Dawson was like, yeah, you're going to say that to my face? And then a lot of people go, oh, no, but big fans, though. Yeah. No, I'm really big fans of your work.
No, seriously, though, it was only joking. It was okay, kayfabe. So you've got Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, Matt Hardy, and Bray Wyatt. Not guys that I consider to be really tall or big. They're just they're of that level. But seeing the Revival out there, and I'm not one who goes, wow, these guys are small, they'll never make it. I love all shapes and sizes. But I never knew the Revival were that much smaller comparatively to those four guys.
They're stocky. Sort of, anyway.
Not compared to the rest of them, though.
They're not like Otis Dozovich stocky.
No.
As wide as he is tall.
Yeah.
But I think they've always got a good shape about them. But you're right, they are shorter than you would expect them to be.
Never realised that. But they have a brawl and it turns into the Revival taking on the Deleters of Worlds with B Team on commentary. Yep. I've got literally no notes other than Revival win.
Well, the crowd was so into this, they chanted for CM Punk and Rusev Day. And then Revival hit the chat machine on Bray and won.
Then we got that Drew and Dolph attacking Seth segment. Then we got Bayley and Sasha Banks coming out in matching ring gear.
Not only that, they've got a tag team name.
Oh, I missed that.
They're the Hug and Boss Connection.
Jesus Christ.
It made me laugh. I've called them B&B. And then I thought, if they had a double team, aerial maneuver, they could call their finisher Airbnb.
That's really good. Really? The Hug and Boss Connection.
Anyway, so they were facing the Riott squad. Still Ruby Riotless, although Ruby was in the package. Well, she was what's it called? The match graphic. She was in the graphic for it, but she still isn't there. The Riott squad worked over Banks. Commentary, they spend the entire time talking about Evolution. That's all this was. It was just for the commentators to talk about Evolution. And then Cole at one point said that B&B have blazed trails for the women's division, which I guess is different than being a Blale Trazer. No, being a trailblazer. It's easy for you to say. So I think that's very different. And there was a moment in this that really made me laugh, which is when Bayley gets pushed into the corner and Sasha Banks tags in and Corey just goes, glory hog. That was really nice.
I didn't really pay attention in this match.
I enjoyed it. They had matching gear and a new name.
Yeah, I like the matching gear because they had trendy jackets, but I hate that name. I didn't even hear it for some reason. And Bayley and Banks
They got a double team finish. They
Bayley-
did the bank statements backbreaker into the belly to Bayley. Wonderful stuff. I mean, this storyline's awful. It's going to win the worst feud of the year because it's been hot garbage.
Oh, I don't know. Bobby Lashley's got his sights set on it.
Oh no, this is 100% a worse feud than that. At least that ended. This is still going.
Oh, I don't know. We got 5 months left for Bobby to have more awful feuds.
Maybe you're right. Maybe this Elias feud could try and top the Sami Zayn one. But I mean, I enjoyed this for what it was.
Yeah, and it kind of potentially teases that women's tag division.
Yeah, and they
if
look
Bayley
great.
and Banks really are a unit now.
Yeah.
And then we got the whole Brock turning on Paul main event thing.
Yeah.
We're in that awkward structure where we finish on a women's tag match rather than the main event again. You know, when the way we do the shows.
Oh, you mean for this show? I thought you meant for this show.
No.
I was about to say they did end with the main events.
Yeah, I got the RIP graphics, but not Brock Lesnar turning on Paul Heyman. So I gave this because overall, I thought this show was actually pretty slightly below average. Just like, the Bobby Lashley stuff was rubbish. The tag team stuff was rubbish. Akam losing.
Yep.
The Finn Balor and Baron Corbin thing was fine, but, they just cancelled each other out. But the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns narrative throughout the entire night and the payoff, I was such a big fan of. I gave it a high average in the end.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, like a 3.5 out of 5.
God, you're so negative. Why can't you just enjoy the show?
What about you?
I really enjoyed it. I'd have given it a core. Mostly, I
mean, we're very close, those two ratings. So.
I know, but we're so negative.
Yeah.
I popped for a lot of the stuff on this show. There is a lot of negatives on this, as you quite rightly pointed out. But I enjoyed the Brock Lesnar stuff so much. And there was a lot of stuff on there that I did really like. So, yeah, I'd probably... Here's a nice balance for it. I'd give it a low core.
Oh, okay. And of course.
So that is still technically a 3.5.
Yeah.
But it's the higher end of the 3.5 than your lower
Just different
end.
branding. Yeah. Well, we'll see what the SWAF Nation think. Head over to the Raw review and click the poll there to vote what you thought of the show. But for now, that's all we've got time for here. Click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk. Awesome stuff. And this little box here, click it. It will subscribe you to the iTunes podcast version of this show, which has exclusive intros and outros, and it's totally free. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.